play is about two different worlds. One, a world of witches and of demonology and of Satanism, and of plain common folk who live in the mountain regions of the United States. It takes place in the Appalachia region of the United States in the 1930s, so in the middle of the Depression. And these are plain, simple mountain folk who live in a very small community that is embedded in a lot of folklore. And the folklore that is embedded in this community is primarily that of witchcraft. It's two cultures who get mixed up together by a couple, one a witch and one a human being, who fall madly in love with each other. And that's basically what the story is about. It's a clash of how two lovers who fall desperately in love with each other cannot live together because of the clash of their cultures. The play was written originally in 1945, which I find very interesting because it's right smack in the middle or toward the end of World War II. So it was a very controversial play back in 1945, and it remains so today. Because one of the many things it is about religious hysteria and religious intolerance and religious extremism. This production of Dark of the Moon will be, I guess, as controversial as the original was back in 1945. Every time it is produced on a stage anywhere, and it has been on Broadway a number of times and in most of the regional theaters across this country, it always raises quite a bit of controversy because of its attack on beliefs that many of us hold dear to us as Americans. It might be a little bit edgy for some audiences to experience that. My feeling is that it is a truism that exists in the world today, across the world, in religious extremism. To any country that is religiously founded, it will often cause some controversy. I welcome that because I think if we can elicit any kind of an emotion out of an audience, if it stirs their thoughts in some way and it raises some emotional quality in them, then I think we have succeeded as artists in entertaining and creating a thinking audience. What we've attempted to do in this production is, first of all, I never really knew the play. Actually, I had seen a production of it when I was in college, a long time ago back in Washington, D.C., when I was a student at Catholic University. I remember seeing it at the Arena Stage, a well-known theater in Washington, and I was very, very impressed with it, and it had a very lasting impact on me. When I reread it again for consideration to be done here at Point Park, I realized that it was quite dated and it needed to be made more accessible to a contemporary audience. It's a play with music, and a lot of the music is religiously oriented, church music, hymns, and a lot of it is folk music. Because those songs are pretty much in public domain, religious hymns and folk music, we've sort of not updated them, but made them more accessible to tunes that are still sung in churches today as hymns, and many of the folk songs a little bit more listenable for a modern audience. I think a lot of the audience will identify and be able to name some of these hymns and some of these songs. I've kind of surrounded it by turning it into a really old-fashioned horror story with demons and witches and the supernatural, but really try to make it a much more meaningful love story between two people of clashing cultures. So it's a love story framed by a lot of horror effects and a horror story. I'm hoping ultimately that this is a theater experience, that it is entertaining. Some of it's very funny, frankly, in its types of characters who are drawn from American folklore, from American folk, from rural America. I hope it's entertaining. I hope it's thought-provoking. The power and authority often intermingled with the words of Jesus Christ and God and Christianity, often get mixed up and produce some really kind of troublesome effects. And I hope that I know the play addresses that, and I hope that we can at least pique an audience's interest in trying to figure out how we fit into that scheme.